Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today for this Oracle Enterprise Manager Technology Forum 2023 start. We have some great content planned for you today. I am joined with Mughees Minhas, who is the Senior Vice President of Product Management for Oracle Enterprise Manager. We started doing this forum last year, so this is the second edition of this. We had some great viewership last year, some great content, but I think this year will be even more exciting. So over the next 3 days, we start with the keynote right now and give a little bit of a sneak peek or a sneak preview of what's coming next year. We have 3 customers this week. We have AT&T, we have Onyx Enterprise Solutions, and Dell. And we love providing customer content to you, the customers, because having them speak for our products always gives a little bit more of an extra impact, and nice to get a third-party validation of the work we've been doing. And then there will be a few general sessions in the next 2 days, and in total about 20 technical sessions, so we hope you will enjoy it this year just like last year. So a little bit of recap, Oracle Enterprise Manager. What are sort of the core capabilities that we've been working on for over 2 decades? First off, one important aspect is hyperscale. Right? A lot of our customers are, of course, the big enterprise customers, small, medium business as well, but certainly the big enterprise customer base, lots of Oracle databases, Oracle middleware, and so forth. And so we have customers that literally have millions of targets, target being an operating system, the database, a middleware stack. And so we can manage a complete enterprise with one product, one single pane of glass that can monitor and manage all of these different targets. So we scale very well, and one of the advantages we have that we don't often talk about is that Oracle is one of the top 3 users of Oracle Enterprise Manager. So we basically use our own product to manage our own IT infrastructure, and that allows us to deploy early versions of the next generation and give internal feedback before we hand it over to customers and let the customers work with it. So we have some great internal usage, as we do with pretty much all the products we work on across the company. Secondly, a completely integrated full stack management. And what we mean by that is we really can see end to end into the Oracle stack. We can do things like patching, upgrades, installations, monitoring, management, performance viewing, everything. Every aspect of what you would need to do with our products, you can do with Oracle Enterprise Manager. So really full stack support. And of course, engineered systems, Oracle Exadata, the ZDL Array appliance is completely managed end to end. You can see the firmware versions, you can see the hosts, the storage nodes, everything. So one pane of glass has always been a very important part of what we do with EM. And then, of course, lastly, comprehensive database management. We built the Oracle database, so we also manage it. We have the same developers in some cases writing code that is in the Oracle database itself, and also write code on Enterprise Manager. It's really tight integration, and that gives us the best visibility of the inner workings of the database and allows us to do things that no other database management software company can do compared to us. So the last 12 months, what have we done? Well, obviously invested a lot in EM, and that shows by having 10 release updates or patch updates done over the last year on 13.5. Over 450, 460 new features introduced during those 10 RUs, and over 400 bugs fixed. And what's interesting here is that, we started out with Oracle Enterprise Manager 13.5. We started out in a new model, a new development model, where it's more the cloud delivery model, regular updates, but regular updates not just with bug fixes, but also new features. So when the developers finish something, it gets integrated and gets released. It gives us a few advantages. Number one, the amount of testing that we have to do on each given release is focused on just the code that has changed. Secondly, it means that we can show customers, for one, we can show you that we continue to invest in this product and it gets enhancements and new functionality, and you don't have to wait 18 months or 12 months or 18 months, you get them on a regular basis. And also by slowly introducing new features, there's no one big dump of software that takes a lot of time to digest and implement within the company. So those different pieces have really helped us with stability, and also have helped us with customers that feel like, okay, there's a lot of cool stuff happening, and they feel very comfortable with Oracle Enterprise Manager. There's a lot of stuff coming again in the next 12 months, and Mughees will spend some more time going into detail of some of those things. It's a good feature set. And what I really quickly want to talk about is Enterprise Manager 24C. But first off, one of the changes we recently made is that Enterprise Manager 13.5 support is going to be extended all the way through 2026. And one of the reasons we're doing that is because with EM24C coming, a big version change, a new major release, we want to give our existing customers the time to stay with 13.5, learn EM24C changes, and then as time progresses, have a little bit more chance to test before doing the upgrade. So 24C, what are the main things we're doing here? First of all, we're working on enhancing the architecture of Enterprise Manager. And what I mean by that is we're going, we already started the development model of regular updates, sort of the cloud model. We're doing the same thing from an architecture point of view. So we have container images for specific pieces of Enterprise Manager. We're not going crazy with microservices where we have hundreds of little microservices or containers. We'll just have a handful, 3, 4, 5. But the big functionality pieces will go into a container. One of the advantages with that model is that we will be able to do upgrades with zero downtime. And a customer complaint, if I can use that term, that we've had over the years is that Enterprise Manager is used to provide alerting and monitoring for systems. So if the customer has to upgrade Enterprise Manager itself and then incur a downtime for that, let's say it takes half an hour, then events coming in from production systems are not caught because the monitoring software is down. So a major change with 24C will be that we separate out the alerting and job system into a set of containers. And so as EM itself, the core gets upgraded, these will keep running and you will not lose any alerts or any incoming messages from an important production application that you were monitoring. So that's I would say one of the biggest advantages that will come with 24C. Then secondly, we will continue doing the regular release update model, and also with 13.5, after 24C is released, we will continue doing new updates on 13.5 for a good period of time as well. So it's not going to just stop next year with 24C, just to be clear. And anyway, with 24, we're going to continue the same development model. And we're also going to do more around JET. Oracle JET is our modern toolkit that we use for Fusion applications and most of the cloud interfaces that we have for application performance monitoring and operations insights and so forth. And so with JET being a modern UI, very nice widgets, user-friendly widgets, what we are able to do is when we develop functionality for database management in our cloud management component, we can take that code and also deploy it in Enterprise Manager, a certain subset of those. And the opposite, when we are doing new function development in Enterprise Manager 24C, then we can likely take that code and also deploy it in cloud. So we're able to address two targets with one framework. And so it lightens the development workload and it allows us to basically address two different deployments with one effort. Then simplified lifecycle management. This is pretty obvious with container management. We basically provide a new container image and you can update that image so you don't have to go through the full install cycle of the product. And of course, we always focus on improving security wherever we can, so that will continue obviously as well. In terms of functionality, I already talked a little bit about zero downtime, so we will make sure that alerting and ticketing will continue even while we're doing an upgrade. Mentioned Oracle JET, so it'll be a very modern, very responsive UI. You can do the back button, forward, all that stuff will work really well and seamlessly. Cloud extensions, we started down this road, down this path a few years ago now, and so Enterprise Manager is doing more towards Oracle Cloud, whether it's managing targets that are living in OCI, or whether it's new functionality where we bridge the two. So we take data from Enterprise Manager, we send it to the cloud service, and we can then do more complex things like warehouse operations and Exadata Insights and so forth on the cloud side. So we basically provide two parts to the management solution. Fleet automation and compliance. Fleet automation has always been very important as we get larger and larger customers. Certainly with Exadata, we have to be able to manage the large ecosystems of hardware, software, the full stack. ML is everywhere with everything we do, whether it's in cloud or on premises. We bring machine learning into our products. And so with Enterprise Manager 24c, you will see a lot more machine learning coming into play as well. And lastly, we have new connectivity models coming for management. And we introduce agent SQL routing and the JDBC HTTP proxy. Some of the advantages here is that we will make it a lot easier to connect Enterprise Manager from one side to another data center or into Oracle Cloud or other cloud vendors as well. So much simpler network configurations required for Enterprise Manager to talk to all the different targets. Now, with all that talk about 24c, we go back to 13.5, and for that, Mughees will give you a good overview of what we have coming over the next 12 months. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Wim. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of the new features we have added in EM 13.5 in the last year. Most of the new features we have added can be grouped in three main themes. They are hybrid cloud management, ops automation, and extensibility and resilience of the core EM platform. Let's start with hybrid cloud management. So the first feature I will talk about is ADAM Spotlight. As I'm sure you know, the basic ADAM feature provides expert-level DB time-based performance analysis on a pair of AWS snapshots. And this feature has been there since Oracle Database 10G. Because ADAM analysis is typically done on AWS snapshots immediately after a snapshot is captured, the findings and recommendations tend to be tactical in nature, as they normally only cover a single hour. So what ADAM Spotlight does is that it aggregates ADAM findings and recommendations over a longer period of time, could be days or weeks, and helps identify or put a spotlight on things like systemic problems, recurring bottlenecks, anomalous behaviors, and as a result provides a more strategic perspective on your workloads. So when you want to see how a database has been performing over the last day or a week, the right place to look at is ADAM Spotlight. It will show you what eventful things have happened, what kind of things require further analysis. I will show you a short demo of ADAM Spotlight in just a little bit. The next feature we have made a number of enhancements is in the area of real-time SQL monitoring. This is a broadly used feature, as you well know. We now not only show you the full execution plan, but also highlight problematic or expensive plan lines in the execution plan, so you know where to focus your tuning effort. We've also added an optimizer environment section, which displays the parameters used to generate the execution plan. And we also have an outline tab that can be used to create a plan outline to reproduce the exact execution plan if you needed to. We've also added a graphical execution plan now that allows you to view the execution plan in a graphical format as opposed to a table format. It's made up of a collapsible tree of nodes with each node represents an operation. In this plan, you can display as much or as little data as needed, and you can rotate the tree either vertically or horizontally to see the information how you like to see it. You can also expand the plan region in the full screen mode, which is very useful for large execution plans. Next is the chargeback feature. So we have made the chargeback feature OCI aware. So now you can divide the cost of OCI entities and charge internal customers based on their respective usage. This includes chargeback support for unused resources, that is, resources that are idle or not being used can now be charged to the same entity or associated entity within chargeback. Second, we have added a chargeback support for fixed cost item types. So under this plan, you can include fixed costs involved in operating resources such as power, real estate, rents, admin salaries, and so on to your chargeback model. So that's with respect to chargeback. Performance Hub, which once again is a very broadly used feature, we have added to that the Exadata tab. So this makes performance diagnostics of Exadata or databases running on Exadata much easier. It provides you a unified view of Exadata hard disk and flash disk performance statistics. It also provides insights into the health and performance of all the system components, including databases, Exadata storage cells, ASM, CRS, and more. So the next feature I want to discuss is hybrid database as a service. So Enterprise Manager now supports pooling of infrastructure resources on-prem across on-prem assets and Exadata Cloud, which includes Exadata Cloud at Customer or the Exadata Cloud Service, for building out your private hybrid cloud to enable the DevOps users to deploy databases on demand. This makes making databases available for new applications development and testing easy, fast, and automated. Last feature in this section is AWR Explorer. This feature is yet to be released, but will be out soon. So AWR Explorer enables DBAs to perform advanced performance analysis of AWR data. With AWR Explorer, you can slice and dice AWR data in many different ways to quickly detect root cause of problems. Instead of generating the old HTML report, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with, you can now interact directly with the AWR data using this intuitive Explorer interface and analyze the data across multiple AWR snapshots. Once again, one of the limitations of AWR report is that it really is analysis across two AWR snapshots. But with the Explorer, you can look across all the snapshots that are stored in the repository. You can zoom in, zoom out, looking at the performance trends. If necessary, you can drill down into the wait events and the histograms for the wait events. You can investigate a narrow time window. And based on the event histogram weight spread, you can understand the problem better, and so on. Additionally, if you want to generate the standard AWR reports, Ash report, SQL report, this AWR Explorer interface also lets you do that. And you can also save the charts that you see in this Explorer in PDF format and share it with your colleagues for collaborative purposes. So now we'll show you a demo of ADAM Spotlight, which I recorded a little bit earlier.
Optimizing performance involves change. Applications change, workloads change, data grows. DBAs need to understand costs and benefits of making system changes in order to boost performance. So this demo shows how ADAM Spotlight can be used to quickly assess several different paths for improving database performance. Starting on the database homepage that I'm sure you're very familiar with, you can see the ADAM Spotlight link on the recommendations tile. You can also access ADAM Spotlight from the performance menu as well. I will click on the ADAM Spotlight link. The ADAM Spotlight page has tabs for findings, recommendations, database parameters. Findings are displayed by default. The summary timeline shows finding counts by category over the time period. For each finding name, the overall impact, maximum impact, and the frequency of occurrence is reported. Finding impacts in ADAM are measure of DB time, as you well know. The table is sorted by overall impact, as you can see here. The first thing I'm going to do is I will change the time period from 24 hours to 7 days. So here I go. I click on last 7 days. Now I'm looking at 7-day time period. So this view summarizes findings over 7 days. There are 167 different ADAM occurrences here. These aggregated findings are the key to ADAM Spotlight, turning tactical analysis into strategic insights. The chart can be overlaid with notable events by clicking on this Include Event Annotations checkbox. Small icons appear, as you can see here, over the timeline where instance restarts or parameter changes have occurred. By hovering on this icon, we share more details with you. We see that this is a routine change to the Resource Manager plan. When entering the maintenance window, see the regular occurrence of paired events when this parameter is both set and unset. Looks like there is a 4-hour maintenance window being used on this database. The summary timeline can be filtered by a finding category. So here I'm going to click on this and I'll see the different categories by which I can filter the events, the findings by, and I will pick top SQL. The timeline and table of findings are now filtered to only show findings by top SQL category. We see that the top SQL finding happens all the time, which is normal since
findings are about DB time, and SQL is responsible for most, if not all, of DB time typically. There are 38 recommendations for this finding seen in the rightmost column here. We'll click on this number to get more details. Adam makes a separate recommendation for each SQL ID included in the top SQL finding. We see that tuning the very top SQL statement here results in a very large overall benefit, about 56%. Potentially half of all DB time can be saved by tuning this one SQL statement. The recommendation is to run the SQL Tuning Advisor, shown here, which is integrated with Adam Spotlight. So we click here, we can run the SQL Tuning Advisor, and this will launch the SQL Tuning Advisor task. I want to actually run the advisor, which I'm sure you're very familiar with that. We'll cancel out of here and then go and look at the second set of findings. So the second finding is about commits and rollback. Let's drill down to see what Adam has to say here. So here you can see that Adam has two recommendations indicating same potential benefit of about 13%. You can achieve it one of two ways. Either you reduce the rate and size of commits, or by improving the IO performance of redo logs. They have the same benefit because they are alternatives for affecting the same amount of DB time, but they have vastly different implementation constraints. One involves analyzing and modifying the application, whereas the second one is about changing your infrastructure to improve your IO throughput. Adam Spotlight in this way is a great assistant in weighing the trade-offs of such widely differing strategies. If restructuring your app is more plausible for you, take that route. If you prefer the change to your ISS subsystem, that route can also produce a similar benefit. Recommendations and their associated rationales have considerable detail supporting their conclusions. The last one I will show is the third set of finding, which is top segments by user IO and cluster. There are 4 recommendations here. Here we see that the top 2 recommendations are similar concerning IO to different partitions of the orders table. Since these recommendations happen almost all the time, 162 out of 167 time, they are not intermittent and benefits will accrue consistently over time. The recommendation is to do the segment advisor, which helps you defragment a fragmented partition. It also can help you reduce the size of the different partitions, which will help you improve the IO characteristics of these particular segments and partitions. So we will close this and now go back to the top of the Adam Spotlight page, and I'll just summarize here that, I hope I've given you an idea on how Adam Spotlight works and how to use it. It really is designed to assess your workload behavior over longer time periods. It helps analyze performance trends and anomalies so you can take action that improves the overall performance of your database.
In the area of ops automation, there are quite a few new features as well. First one is Top Activity Lite. This is really a simplified version of Ash Analytics feature optimized for efficient real-time performance diagnostics, even under heavy database loads. So it provides a simple, compact, and efficient NOC-like page that can be displayed on a large screen for easy visualization of your recent activity. It has auto refresh and browser settings retention capabilities in it that come in handy in observing real-time database performance trend without any human interaction. So the Ash Analytics page tends to be, the data in that is more spread out, is more coarse-grained than fine-grained. Top Activity Lite has more compact data. It's very similar to the way the Top Activity page used to be, and I think a number of you asked us to get that back, and now based on popular demand, the Top Activity page is back. So the next feature is Remote Agent. This is yet another feature that is not out yet, but will be coming soon. With the Remote Agent now, you will be able to remotely monitor and manage an Oracle database and all its related components like Listener, ASM, and so on. You no longer have to deploy an agent on every single database host. Instead, you can rely on a smaller set of agents to remotely monitor and manage your entire database fleet. This greatly reduces the overall volume of agents you have to maintain, manage, and deploy. We have also added a number of new Exadata cloud health and security checks for availability and compliance. So EM now extends the Autonomous Health Framework ExaCheck for Exadata Cloud. which includes scanning for performance and reliability issues of all components. It also provides automated and proactive notifications for any issues identified. Next, we have introduced the new Fleet Maintenance Hub. Now, the Fleet Maintenance Hub is designed to be your one-stop shop for enhancing security posture of your database assets. So you will get automated, prioritized security patch recommendations based on the quarterly critical patch updates published by Oracle. Finally, we have support for the next generation of STIG regulatory security compliance standards, as well as a refresh of industry standards, for example, the Center for Internet Security, or CIS. In addition, we have also integrated configuration and sensitive data assessment using DBSAT for fleet-level operations. So with this, you can keep your databases secure and be compliant with your company policies. Okay, so the last area, and the third one, is extensibility and resilience. So there's much to talk about here as well. We now provide support for Privileged Access Management, or PAM, integration. So if the passwords for your database or host are managed in PAM providers like CyberArk, HashiCorp, and so on, for security and compliance reasons, you can simply integrate your PAM provider with EM in 3 simple steps. The PAM integration enables seamless credential access from an external store for performing normal EM activities like log into database from the console, database patching, running host commands in accordance with your company's security and compliance policies. I have a demo for this feature also that is coming shortly. We have new REST APIs for user management, credential management, metrics, incidents, target management. As you well know, REST APIs facilitate maximizing the efficiency and automation of your infrastructure monitoring and management within the DevOps pipeline. So by leveraging these REST APIs, you can streamline your processes, save time, and enhance your overall productivity, especially if you already have tools like Ansible or Puppet or Terraform in your environment. You can simply call these REST APIs to perform management operations now with these. Integration with webhooks and Slack. So with events or incidents raised in EM, you can now use webhooks to share these events or incidents with external systems such as ticketing systems, or you could use the Slack notification method to send Slack messages to your IT ops teams, enabling you to expedite resolution of these incidents. There's a secure and compliant process for patching, plugin deployment, and installation using non-sys users. So this is where the EM maintenance operations such as patching, plugin deployment, and so on used to require a sys user. Now we support doing it with a non-sys user. So this will provide for improved security and compliance adherence. And this was yet another thing that our customers had been asking for, and we've added that now. The last thing I want to talk about is EM diagnostic runbooks. So this runbook is a predefined runbook, is meant to help EM admins, people who manage EM, maintain EM, infrastructure, OMS, repository, agent, and so on, for them to diagnose and resolve incidents on the EM infrastructure itself. So steps in this runbooks include, checking the CPU and I/O of the repository database to see if it can handle the load, checking for any errors in EM internal stats collection jobs, checking the AWR report for repository database to see if the SGA, PGA are sized correctly, and so on, checking the loader threads to make sure they can handle the workload. So with this runbook, EM admins can quickly identify and resolve some of the more common issues seen in large EM deployments. Finally, we have now support for the cross-endian EM repository migration. So we have a migration utility now that leverages data pump to export repository data from one platform to another with a different endian format. So this feature too has been requested for some time, and we've finally added it too. So with this now, I will go to my second demo on the PAM integration, which I also recorded a little while ago.
EM PAM integration is a great capability for securely retrieving the credentials that are stored in an external PAM provider like CyberArk or HashiCorp and so on. PAM integration with EM consists of 3 simple steps. First is the PAM script registration step. So here I have the CyberArk script provided by my security admin, and I will use that to register in EM to securely retrieve the credentials. So step 1, to register the script, we have this emcli config credential provider command passed with all the parameters such as provider name, input file path, and so on. Let me execute this command. So here in the output, you can see that the credential provider CyberArk is now configured in EM. This completes the first step. Step 2 is to create credential mapping. So here we are mapping the script output to the credential type in EM. Let me execute the emcli command with parameters such as mapper name, credential type, etc. to map the DB credential type with the script attributes. So I run this, and here in the output, you will see that the credential mapping is saved for the database. This completes the second step in PAM integration with EM. The step 3 is the final step in the integration process to create or modify a named credential in EM. Here I will use a new named credential by specifying parameters such as alternate credential store, credential key, credential mapping to indicate that the credential for the database will be fetched from an external PAM store instead of fetching it from the EM repository. I execute the command, and here you can see that it says that the sys_cyberark credential is now created. With this, the PAM integration with EM is complete and you are ready to go. I'm going to show you how to use this PAM-based new name credential that we created to log into a database from EM console. And we will see how EM seamlessly fetches the credentials from a PAM provider without any extra effort. So here is your familiar EMCC homepage. And let's say I want to run Ash Analytics or run a job which will require a login. So let's go to Setup, Security, Name Credentials. And if you scroll down here, you will see the sys_cyberark credential I have created. The password management for this credential is done through CyberArk and is not stored in Enterprise Manager. Now let's see how to use this credential to log into the database to view the performance page. So we go to Targets. Let's click on Databases. We are going to pick this specific database. And now let's say I want to go to Ash Analytics. So let's do that. Performance Hub, Ash Analytics. So now you get to the familiar database login page. Here I'm going to specify the sys_cyberark credential that we had created earlier. And now you click login, and there you go directly to the page. So it basically behaves exactly like an EM credential would, except that in this particular case, the password management is done through an external provider like CyberArk in this case, as opposed to within EM itself. So the behavior is exactly what you're familiar with once you have carried out those 3 steps I showed you a little bit earlier.
So thank you for joining us today.
Hey, did you like what you learned? Make sure to check out this video or this link, and of course, subscribe now.